week 2, day 4 of my practice diary. My objectives today were to progress with Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan, to also progress with my open chords that I'd learnt the day before previously, and to learn Back to You by John Mayer. I said in my video yesterday that that was one of my objectives, but unfortunately I didn't get time to learn Back to You by John Mayer, so I've done it today. So first of all, I did my warm-up as usual, chromatic scales, just to kind of separate my fingers, just to warm them up, get the speed going, especially I'm playing Texas Flood, which is quite a fast song, so just chromatic scales as usual, ascending and descending up the neck up to the 12th fret. So I did that for around 5 minutes. Warm-ups are very important because they kind of just make sure that you can kind of play to your best ability. They're all warmed up and nice and smooth. And I also did some hand stretches, some kind of wrist rotations as well as usual. So I spent around 5 minutes doing that. So yeah, Texas Flood. I'll show you what I've learnt so far from the whole song from the beginning. So this is what I've learnt so far. So yeah, one of the things that I really struggled with there, and I messed up really badly, was the phrases here. So there's this lick where it goes, and it goes from the 8th fret of the B string all the way down to the 3rd fret on the B string. So 8th fret to the 3rd fret of the B string, and then bend up. So yeah, it's quite far. It's quite a distance from the 8th fret of the B string to the 3rd fret. So I was really struggling on that. So it goes. Sorry. So the lick is. So to overcome this problem, I just had to really play it slow, just what every guitarist has to do, really. Just kind of it's quite a distance to be going from. Yeah, that's quite a big distance. So I'd often go wrong. I'd often go to the 4th fret. I'd often go. So yeah, that's just really muscle memory. So I just had to go over and over it again. One of the other things that I struggled with was kind of the way Stevie Ray Vaughan bends his strings when he the way he phrases his notes and the way he bends his string is really hard to replicate. Like if I just bent the strings normally, it'd sound like this. So if I played that quickly, so yeah, it goes. There's a certain intensity in his playing, so he kind of goes. So I kind of had to just keep listening to the track and kind of watch Stevie Ray Vaughan play as well. The way he plays very intense and very kind of aggressively. So it comes out in his guitar playing. So when I had to play the song, I had to kind of put myself in his shoes and think, how would Stevie play this? I'm not saying that I'm anywhere near as good as Stevie Ray Vaughan, which I'm not saying at all. He was miles better than me. But just kind of trying to replicate his phrasing. The way I did that was watching videos and listening to the tracks. So that's how I overcame that problem. So yeah, I spent around that took me probably around 15 minutes to do that, to learn that whole part that I've just showed you, and you know, mastering, trying to replicate his phrasing and that really difficult lick here. So yeah, just a quick summary. Oops. I learned from the second bar, beginning of the second bar to the beginning of the fourth bar. So that's what I learned today of Texas Flood. So I've progressed from yesterday. So the other thing I practiced was, again, I learnt the rest of the open chords that my teacher had assigned me to do. So as I previously said yesterday, my teacher gave me no chord charts, and with the knowledge of my music theory, and it's not really that difficult to do, it's quite simple. Just figuring out the chords with the formulas that I know. So I did sus4 chords today, I did sixth chords today, and I did add 9 chords. So from my finger down is what I learnt today. My finger will be placed from sus4 and down, basically. I'm not sure if my finger's in the right place, but from sus4 and down is the chords that I learnt today. So some of the chords that I learnt I'll show you now. So you've got an A sus4, D sus4, C sus4, an A6, an E6, no it's not an E6, don't know what chord that is, an E sus4. So they're just some of the chords that I learnt today. I may as well give you C add 9, a ninth chord, no, an add 9 chord I learnt today. So yeah, they're just some of the chords that I learned. For example, I'll give you a quick demonstration of how I figured them out. So you've got a C chord here, you've got a C chord here, and the ninth is the same as a 2. So a 2 would be a D. So all I needed to do to the C chord was add a D. And D in this case is on the 3rd fret of the B string. That's what. So an add 9 is just a C add 9. Find the 9th, which is also a 2nd, which is a D. There's a D on the 3rd fret of the B string. So that's how I figured that out. So I spent a good, no, I didn't spend that long on that, to be honest. Actually, I spent around probably 5 minutes on that, just working out the chords, just playing the chords over and over again, making sure that I've, remembering the fingerings. I still struggle to remember all the fingerings, so I continue to practice my open chords, just to remember. It gets confusing. You get an A sus4, and F sus4, C sus2. It kind of, it's kind of like a brain overload at the moment, because I've learnt there's over about 40 chords here, so I've got a lot of new chords to learn. So I'll continue to practice them and memorise them. The next thing I did today, so I spent 5 minutes on that, 15 minutes on Stevie Ray Vaughan, Texas Flood, 5 minutes on warm-ups, and 5 minutes on my chords, open chords. The next thing I did was I practiced Back to You by John Mayer. So I'll go get the book. Because I'm learning open chords and I want to be more of an acoustic player, and that's why I've been doing acoustic, I bought a strum and sing along type book, John Mayer, all my favourite songs from John Mayer, and it's basically just a simplified version of all of his songs. So instead of all the complicated ways that he plays them, it just gives you the simple chords that they are. So as you can see there are the chords there. As you can see that, hopefully. So I learnt Back to You today, which is quite useful, because there's a lot of open chords there that I've never learnt. Like, for example, so they're not necessarily difficult, but I've just never heard of them before. So you've got an A7 sus4, which is apparently is this. So yeah, that's an A7 sus4. Never heard of that chord before, but it's not a difficult chord. So what I learnt today was chords there were just simply G major 9, E minor 9, A7 sus4, D sus4 and E minor 9. And the chorus I also learnt the chorus, which goes okay, I didn't do very well there. I'll probably relearn that again because I've forgotten how to play the chords now already. So yeah, that didn't take me that long to learn. That took probably around learning chords didn't take long to learn, around maybe 4 minutes. But then remembering each chord probably took an extra 2 minutes. So that took me around 6 minutes to learn. And then after that, I just practiced a few scales I had to learn for my grade 7 acoustic. And the scales that I did today were the ones that I didn't know were the A Dorian scale, so these are the scales that I learnt here. I already knew nearly all these scales, it's just yeah, so you got these scales here, and the ones that I didn't know were A Dorian scale, which is, I don't need to take the cap off actually. A Dorian is so yeah, I didn't spend long on that, 2 minutes on that. Also, yeah, that was my practice session for today really. And I also just did a bit of improvise. After I did Stevie Ray Vaughan, I just did a few, I did a blues backing track in the key of C7 and just went over my blues licks. I probably spent 10 minutes on that, but that wasn't really just to learn anything, that was more for fun. So yeah, that's my practice diary for today.